your right to know.
A very good afternoon to you. Here is Impact Business Radio IBR92.5 FM News Update at 3. The federal government has approved the 2022 intervention funds for public higher institutions across the country. The Executive Secretary of Tertiary Education Trust Fund, TET Fund, Sunday Econo, made this known while receiving the Committee of Vice Chancellors of Nigerian Universities in his office. Econo said the meeting of all beneficiary institutions will be held next week Monday to interact further and also brief some of the proposed reforms that have been approved for implementation. He assured the Vice Chancellors of the Fund's commitment to sustain the ongoing reforms in the sector with increased emphasis on the content of its interventions, particularly in the areas of research and ICT. The Supreme Court, in its judgment today, has ended the political arrangement on the sharing of revenue from the oil wells in Rivers State. The Apex Court, in its verdict, ruled that the 17 oil wells located in Ndoni and Egbema communities belongs to the state. The Supreme Court had on February 2022 fixed May 6 for judgment in the legal battle between Rivers and Imo states over the ownership of 17 oil wells in their territories. The Apex Court fixed the date after taking arguments from lawyers to the parties. Justice Olukayode Ariwola, who led a panel of justices of the Apex Court, fixed the date after the adoption of the final written addresses by the lawyers. The plaintiff in the matter, represented by a former president of the Nigerian Bar Association, Joseph Daudu, while adopting his final address, asked the Apex Court to give judgment in favor of Rivers State on the grounds that historical evidence right from 1927 till date clearly indicated that the oil wells belong to the state. The Deputy Senate President Ovi Omoagege has said that there was no way he could have single-handedly written the amended electoral bill. Speaking at a consultative meeting in Ughelli North, Delta State, Omoagege called on the public to disregard the misinformation making the rounds that he wrote the Electoral Act alone. He noted that the people have been misinformed about the amended act, which was enabled by the National Assembly and duly assented to by President Muhammadu Buhari. He also assured the All Progressives Congress members that introduction of the bimodal voter accreditation system will bring transparency and ensure a fair and credible electoral process for the 2023 forthcoming general election. The United Kingdom has barred the indigenous people of Biafra, the movement for the actualization of sovereign state of Biafra, and other Biafran groups from participating in its asylum program. The British government noted that IPOB had been proscribed as a terrorist group by the federal government and that members of the group, including its paramilitary wing, are responsible for committing human rights violations. The United Kingdom therefore said that persons who commit human rights violations must not be granted asylum. It will be recalled that the country's visas and immigration had in March 2021 released new guidelines to its decision makers on how to consider and grant asylum applications to IPOB members, whose founder, Nnamdi Kanu, was operating from London before his arrest in Kenya last year. The former national chairman of the All Progressives Grand Alliance, Victor Ome, has accused the Southwest politicians jostling to occupy the presidency in 2023 of seeking to break up Nigeria. Ume described as incomprehensible the fact that the Southwest had produced a president who served for 8 years, has a vice president who is currently serving, and is still interested in producing a president. And that ends News Update at 3 on Impact Business Radio IBR92.5 FM. To join us at 6 for the news across Nigeria, I am Victoria Owuyemi. Thank you for listening. Good afternoon.
News.